Our meditation and spiritual practice Tuesday morning session, 9 o'clock. Great to see folks. And where I think I want to start this morning is with a famous story in the Talmud. And the story in the Talmud from Tractate Chagiga is about four rabbis, some of the four famous core rabbis in the Mishnah and the Talmud, who went into the Pardes. Now, the Pardes gets translated as the orchard. Whether it was a literal orchard or not, when you hear the rest of the story, you'll draw your own conclusions. But they went into this mysterious orchard. One of them, Ben Azai, died. Another, Ben Zoma, went crazy. He kind of lost his mind upon emerging. The third, Elisha ben Abuya, became a heretic and left Judaism. And the fourth, Rabbi Akiva, came out whole. And this story can be taken in so many different directions. What was this Pardes, this orchard? What was this place of such incredible power and transformation that out of these four rabbis, each one would have a completely different effect? One would die, one would go crazy, one would become a heretic, and one would be able to emerge whole from this experience. What was this experience? And what does this story also have to say about the nature of our human mind? So for our purposes here today, I'm gonna look at that the orchard, the Pardes, is the place of consciousness that is beyond labels and concepts. It's the place of consciousness that's beyond labels and concepts. So this is a place of awareness. So much, and we talk about this in our morning session here, so much of our not only day-to-day experience, but even when we close our eyes, we are viewing the world through a filter of labels and concepts. We view the world through language. And what I mean by that is we have our own direct moment-to-moment experience of reality. And yet we don't just experience it as it is, but we give a symbolic representation to it at every single moment. So even as I put an attention, I become aware of my breath. There's the experience of breathing, but there's also the label and the concept that I attach to it called breath, right? I can go ahead right now and talk with you about the building of Temple Bethel. And already I talk about the building and you have a picture and an image in your mind of what that building is. We're not at the building, Temple Bethel. We're not experiencing the visual sensation of the building or the floor under our feet or any of those things. And yet those words, the structure of Temple Bethel of South Orange County, already is a label that allows us obviously to communicate, to talk, to do all of those things. Interesting enough, if I just say Temple Bethel of South Orange County and I don't say the building or the structure, that label could point to a lot of different things. It could be the building, it could also be the community, it could be the staff, it could be, the whole congregation, whatever it is, it's a label that is. And even when we are in the moment experiencing this, I'm looking at a computer screen with a Zoom program open. My direct experience of it, visually, sensorily, or whatever, is beyond label. It's just pixelations, and I'm going to use language and labels to try to convey this, but you'll get where I'm trying to go. It's just pixelations of light and color that is hitting me in this moment, and maybe it's audio, or maybe it's the touch or the feel of my keyboard, whatever it is, I am having these sensory experiences that are just what they are. They don't have any description. They don't have any, they just are that. And yet my way of being in the world, of being a human being, is to interpret the reality of that moment and to label this particular sensory experience that I'm having in this moment as sitting in front of a computer screen, talking on Zoom with my meditation and spiritual practice group on Tuesday mornings, and all of the different labels and concepts that I'm having to try to speak about the isness of this moment. So one could say that if we talk about this story, this story of going into the mysterious Pardes, of this deep place of transformation, of energy, of power, maybe of God, of whatever it is that is totally beyond concepts and labels. How do we deal with that experience when we are so attached to the concepts and labels in our lives of defining our world and our moment and our reality? Well, there was a bunch of different responses. Ben Azai, the one who died, one might say that he was so enraptured by the experience of life, of God, of aliveness, of energy, of reality beyond concepts and labels and language, that someplace on his deepest soul, he did not want to go back. He didn't want to go back to the human experience of dividing the world up into concept and label and all of this stuff. He wanted to just be fully immersed forever in the deeper awareness and reality of consciousness. So he left his body. He left all of that dimension of human consciousness awareness that is about multiplicity and separation. Ben Zoma, one might say, this is just my drash, my interpretation, one might say the experience of reality beyond all of his labels and concepts was so shattered, so much of everything he knew, that he could not integrate at all when he came back out of the orchard and he came back into his concepts, labels, ways of seeing things. It was so different, so disconnected, his own conceptual world and language, from the reality that he actually experienced, that he could not integrate them both. He could not come back and be able to find new concepts, labels, experiences to try to make sense of the transformative experience that he had. And he went crazy. He wasn't able to integrate it. The third, Elisha ben Abuya, had this incredible deep experience of transformation, of God, of spirit, of beyond concept and label. And he came back and he did not see how Torah and the Jewish path spoke to this experience. The Jewish path, the Torah, speaks in language of metaphor and anthropology, anthropomorphism. God is a character. There's reward and punishment in the Torah. And that was so not his experience in the Pardes, in the orchard, of the living, present God beyond labels, all of these things. And so he came back and he just saw that the Torah was not an adequate framework to be able to help him live in that reality. And so he left. He became a heretic. And finally, it was Rabbi Akiva, the one who emerged whole, the one who was able to go into that place beyond label, concept, language, completely experience. And then when he came out, not only was he able to, that he did not hold so tightly to his previous concepts, labels, definitions of reality. He was able to have new ideas, more expansive ones that were drawn around what his experience was, that was able to give him a bit of a frame going forward. And he was able to see how Torah spoke to and deepened and allowed. It might be that he saw the mystical nature of Torah, and he emerged whole. So this is, every time we allow ourselves with intention to go into our own meditation, you could say that we have the ability to begin to put a toe inside the pardes. And the question is, how do we step our toe inside the pardes and be able to have that mean something and be real? And then how do we emerge whole, more nourished from that? Now, luckily for us, we have really strong ego defenses. So we hold very tightly to our own concepts of reality and our own labels. So there is, I would say, a 99.999999% chance that we're not going to die or go crazy from our meditation. But as we begin to, enter more deeply into the isness of the moment, to try to experience this moment without our labels, without our conceptions, with just being with the energy of it, being with it, the more that we have the opportunity to enter into a relationship with reality and with the moment that is outside, that is deeper than our concepts, our labels, our ideas. And being able to emerge in the processing that comes from that, that we are able to walk in the world in a little bit of a different way. So we'll go ahead and start our meditation. Go ahead and get into a comfortable position that you can sit for a period of time. And I'll start with a nigun, a melody that you can join me with in your own home, letting that melody take you into a little bit of a deeper place in yourself. So begin to just be aware of the position of your body in space, noticing the contact between your bottom and the chair, the cushion, the pressure. Notice where your feet meet the ground, noticing every inch of the bottom of your foot as it touches the ground. Notice the position of your legs as they span from your feet to your hips. Notice the distance between the bottom of your spine and the top of your head. Become aware of your shoulders and the position of your arms as they hang out of your shoulders, the resting place of your hands. Notice the shape of your head and the air as it touches your face. See if you can be aware of your entire body in space, from the top of your head, the tip of your toes, the air as it touches your body, where your body ends and the rest of the world begins. And notice the movement of breath and how the body accommodates for the breath on the inhale and on the exhale. Noticing the body expand with the inhale, following the air out through your nostrils or your mouth, noticing all the sensation that accompanies the exhale as the body contracts to let the air go. And as you pay attention, allowing yourself to be present for each breath, noticing the body breathing with every breath. Also become aware of your own presence, of your own witnessing of the breath and the body. That place that just watches, awareness itself. So you're allowing yourself to not only be present for the sensations of body and breath, but also at the same time aware of the watching of the body and the breath. And as you pay attention to body and breath and to the awareness of body and breath, see if you can notice the qualities of it without the label. What is it like if you completely let go of having to draw a concept or a label onto our experience? That there's not anymore the paying attention of breath. There's just the phenomenon of the experience itself. That no more is there sensation in the body, whether we call it tight or hot, or we have a picture in our mind of what our body, the shape of it looks like. Instead, just drop all of that and be with the isness of this moment. There's an incredible surrender, an incredible letting go that takes place when we completely drop everything to purely be in this moment without labels, without tracking. When we let go of concept and labels, we also let go of time. All there is this moment. This expression of energy, of isness, of being. Allow your mind to be wide open, awareness wide open. Don't touch anything. Just the isness of the moment, the presence in the moment. And as soon as you notice that you've brought in a concept, label, which will be natural movement of the mind. As soon as you notice that, drop it. Just drop it. It's not a pushing away. It's just like you just open up your hand and it drops. And you're just with the experience itself. And as you are just being in the middle of eternity, allow the compass of your heart orient towards the Holy One. It can be that somewhere deep inside you, you don't even have to say it so much with words or language. It can just be an inner willingness that says, show me your depth. Show me your presence. And there is such tremendous trust to be out here without a handhold, without concept and idea, floating in the middle of eternity. With just this inner engine of direction. Show me your presence. Show me your depth. almost as if there's just a very inner intention that says, guide me to you. And that's all, just that, no expectation of anything happening, just floating in that eternal space, free of label, concept, idea, language, with just the internal intention, guide me to you. I'm going to be quiet for a period of time. Hey, welcome back. Anybody have any questions, comments? We'll come back and talk about the Israel trip at the end for those who want to stay for that conversation. But for now, anything about dropping, concept, label?
Yes, Kavod.
Yes.
I would like to mention, this is not original for me, but I was listening to the radio to one of these psychologists on the radio, and it hit a chord for me when she said, instead of using the term crazy, which conjures a lot in our mind, we can use the term mental pain.
Oh, I like that so much. Kathy, thank you. That was just a gift. That was a gift for me too here, because it's such a much more compassionate, right? Crazy is a distance, is a remove, you know, not me here, but that's a label that does that. But mental pain more talks about how it's tough. Yeah.
And I like to think if you're broken from mental pain, then anything broken can hopefully be fixed.
Yeah. There's also, it's just interesting to put on another piece is it possible to have difficulty integrating kind of the expectations and world navigation of society and still also not be in pain? So, you know, is it possible to say, like, you know, I'm not quite living in this world here. You know, I'm not really integrating what's in here and what's out here, but what's in here is pretty darn good. So, you know, not for everybody, but yeah.
Rabbi, I really liked the parable that you told. And what I kept thinking about was the orchard is the world of ideas. And the 4 steps are just me going through the world of ideas. Sometimes I give up, that's dying, right? Sometimes it drives me crazy, my own personal thinking, right? Sometimes I take a different idea, that's the heretic part. I give up on the original idea and take another one. And then the 4th stage is resolution.
Okay, so nice, beautiful, nice way to bring the story of bringing some meaning and framework to kind of our own thinking process, our own wrestling, you know, with ideas.
And the four rabbis are all me.
Right. Nice. Thank you, Dennis.
Rabbi Kavod.
Yeah.
In addition to the moments of peace that I experience with meditation, really the way that I remove myself from my negativity, anger, resentments, anxieties, whatever, is by doing things for others. And when I do things for others, I'm back in that world of divisiveness. I mean, it's just kind of an odd, I don't know quite what to do with that, but I know that I'm drawn to action, and it's usually, do things to help others. But that does keep me in that world of, I don't know how to be in that world and to be at one with others, with the universe. I'm not sure how to say that.
That is the question, isn't it, Marty? I mean, that is the question. How, how do we be in the world? One way of saying it, I'd have to really dissect this to put it, how to be in the world but not of it, or how to be, the way that I would rephrase that is how to be in the world and not get lost in the illusion of separateness. How do I be in the world and be able to hold on to that sense of presence that connects us and unites us all as we're going through? And I think what you're saying is that going ahead and doing for others helps with difficult inner states, because it's really, mitzvah helps with that because it broadens your world beyond yourself. As soon as you're engaged with helping others, then it's not all about me anymore, and my world expands, right? One of the translations of mitzvah besides commandment is connect, to connect or to join. That's the Aramaic version of mitzvah is savta, and savta means to join or connect. So anything that helps us connect to something outside of ourselves, or connect to something greater than our own self-concept, is the steps that we want to take. And then as you take it, as you engage in the mitzvah, can you also continue to hold on to the awareness that who I am is not just this separate being that is doing for you, but I am part of the one and you are part of the one, and we are realizing our connection through our interaction together. And that's what becomes energizing and connecting. So yeah, that's the challenge. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, Murray, did you just have something else? Okay. Anybody else?
I'm gonna try to talk without, if the dogs start getting crazy, I'll have to mute, but I'll have to start wearing my headset. Well, a couple of things. First of all, Maury, that was part of the talk I gave on Rosh Hashanah, was peace. It was about peace. I was given the topic peace, and it was about how do you find peace, and it was by giving and doing for others. So yes, anyway, but as far as the meditation this morning, this concept, after all these years, seemed to work the best for me ever. The ability to not define where your body ends and the rest begins worked so beautifully for me. And to just, it really helped me to just be, instead of the thought process of defining everything. So that whole idea of just getting rid of those boundaries, those borders, and becoming part of that matter was just a wonderful concept. And that really helped me. And I've been meditating forever. That really was one of the best things I've ever experienced, was being able to get rid of defining anything and just being.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, Ellen. I mean, and where we see that kind of translates is that, obviously so much of how we operate in the world and interacting with people is about defining and judging and all of those things. That is just part of the natural process of navigating the world and our relationships. But so much of also what we get in trouble with in our relationships, and what can also be causes of suffering, is how our definitions or our labels or whatever it is doesn't, reality is not fitting with what our expectations are, whether it's with other people or whether it's with situations, and there's, you know, and there's suffering that happens with that, and it's difficult, or we pin other people down into our ideas about why they do what they do or how they do, and it's really hard to listen and hear where they're coming from. And so part of this practice right now of, even as we, you know, close our eyes and just work even internally on letting go of labels, on letting go of concepts, our hope is that some of that will translate. So when we're listening to another person, we're not listening through our ideas already about what they're saying or what's going on, but we listen in a more open way, a way that's not holding so true. And we might have a little thought, oh, they're saying this is what they're saying. And we might hold that very lightly, that particular label or definition of what they're saying, because I'm not going to pin it down. I'm going to keep listening and keep open. And as I listen and open, I receive more. You know, our labels and our concepts cut us off from all the information that's coming towards us at a given moment in a given situation, because we've said this is what it's about, and we're not receiving anymore. So the more that we can be open in our lives and situations and interactions, the more information comes in. And as we form our labels and our concepts, it's done a little bit gentler, a little bit with a little bit more room for other people and for the world to come in. Yeah, Dennis.
When you were talking, I was thinking about the watcher. That's me. That's a part of me that's like objectively, and then there's me who's not. And I think what you're talking about is how do we get more to the watcher and less to the Dennis?
Yeah. You know, when you talk about the watcher or the witness, there are these different levels in Kabbalah that speak about soul. What's this mystery of soul, right? And just to say it again, you know, there's a very Platonic, meaning from Plato, concept that gets perpetuated in Christianity, and then it also comes into Judaism, of this idea of there being a body and a soul, right? And the soul is kind of the spiritual place inside the body, and there's the body, and there's this real separation. That's not really the Kabbalistic view of things. In the Kabbalistic view, it's all soul. All of us are soul. Even our bodies are an expression of soul, meaning even our bodies are expression of the God presence, of the life force. But then there are also all of these different dimensions of who we are, dimensions of soul. And the dimension of soul that we call the neshama, you know, such a wonderful neshama, you know, the level of soul we call neshama can also be, I think, referred to as that witness place, that watcher place. Because the way that the Kabbalah talks about that aspect of neshama is that it's present in us, but it's way beyond us. It's way beyond us. It's not something that we hold on to or own. It's something that we participate in. And so that watcher, that witness, is the same watcher and witness in me. That's the same watcher and witness in you. You know, that's you know, those of you who are exposed to a little yoga or Sanskrit know the word namaste, right? Namaste can be translated. Yeah, and everybody goes like this. It's like when I tell kids about, you know, okay, I have to just mention meditation. And as soon as I mention meditation, if you're a 10-year-old, you go with the hands up like this, you know, exactly, namaste. So, but namaste really means I honor that place in you, that when you're in that place in you and I'm in that place in me, we are one. We are one. That place of neshama in you and that place of neshama in me, that watcher, that witness, that awareness is the same. it's the same. We participate in its presence, its awareness. It's not, there's no degree, there's no like Dennis presence or kavod presence. There's how presence gets filtered or expressed through our own unique personalities or whatever that gives us our own, you know, our unique personality and spin to be able to say Dennis presence or kavod presence. But really the presence itself, deeper, the watcher is undifferentiated.
It's universal.
So it's universal. Exactly. Exactly. So that place is also, that's the place that we're looking at resting in more and more in our meditation. Beautiful. Okay. Well, we're gonna close